All right, in this project, we're going to make a music video for a song called Space Chill Out by Penguin Music. It's the music I found on Pixabay, and I found these video clips. So in this first video is only going to be the first like 36 seconds of the video, and the song is like 1:40. So in this first lesson, we are just going to create the very beginning of it. And so one of the state standards for this class is to make a storyboard. So you're going to need to make a storyboard with this. It can be very easy. You can see over here, you can either do it a pencil sketch, or you can use Google Slides, or you can use PowerPoint, anything that you want to make it. It only has to have 6 different frames in it. So I'm going to show you what that's going to look like. So in the very beginning, you're going to have the title sequence, and you're just going to say how long the words are going to be up on the screen. And then we're going to have the planet is going to come in from 1 second to 11 seconds, and that'll be using this clip over here on the left. Then we have this floating astronaut from 5 to 19. We're going to use that clip. Then you're going to transition to this cave over here from 11 seconds to 20. Then you're going to have this walking astronaut look like he's walking out of the cave from 19 to 36 seconds, and then it's going to transition from the cave to planet Mars while you have this song going. All right, so let's open up Premiere, and I'm going to show you, I've already created the beginning of this project, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. I'm going to play it in here so you can actually watch the timeline. So you'll need to create a new Adobe Premiere project, and then you're going to import these clips. I'm going to give you a Google Drive link to them, and you're going to put them in here to this project. One of the things on the test they want you to know how to do is to make things into a bin. So I'm going to click on these 2 astronauts with the shift, and then click right here, new bin, and call it astronauts. And then you can drag them into that bin. All right, so there's one of the questions on the exam right there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is drag this space planet intro into the timeline and make a sequence. So you can see as soon as I drag that in there, it gives me this. This is our sequence. And I am going to start doing the text. So let me go to my storyboard. And so the title sequence is from 0 to 9 seconds, and it'll say Space Chill Out. I'm going to go ahead and just copy that so I don't have to type it. And I want to make a marker with a duration in it because that's something that they ask you to do on the test. So let's go ahead and do that. I think they ask you to do it over here. I normally do markers over here, but I think they want you to do it over here in the source. So I'll go ahead and do what they said. So let's put this over here and click on marker, and then you can double click on it and we can call it planet, and you can change the color of it if you want, and we can make this a certain duration. So I'll just make this for 9 seconds and say okay. And you can see that it put a marker on here. Now I'm going to take it off because I don't like those markers, but I wanted to show you how to do it because that is something on the Geometrics exam. So I wanted to show you how to do it. But I'm getting rid of it because I don't like it there. Now if you want to expand this track, if you double click, you can open up the track so you can see more of the video. You can slide this down. And then another thing that's going to be on the test is to learn how to move an audio track that's already attached to a video track like this. So what we're going to do is right click on that video track and go to unlink. So if we wanted to move this audio track now, we can. It's separate from the video track. In our case, I'm going to delete it. So I'm going to press backspace. We do not need it. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and put our title sequence in there. I'm going to have this go from 0 to 9 seconds. So I have the time indicator. You can see at 9 seconds. I'm going to put a little marker there so that I know when that ends. Say OK. And then let's put this at the very beginning and get my text tool. And in order to edit text, we have to go to Window and open our Essential Graphics panel and click on Edit. That way we'll be able to change the font and stuff. So I'm going to click in the middle here and type our title, which is Space Chill Out. And this is a song I found on Pixabay. So I'm going to right click on that. I've already picked the font out ahead of time. I'm going to show you how to, when you first type, it'll be filled with white. I turn the fill off and I turn the stroke on pink, and I think I'm going to make it 2-point outline. And to align this, go over here to Align and Transform. You can click this and this. That makes it centered. And if you want it to go, I think on the test, the practice exam, it asks you to align something on the bottom. So that's how you do that. But I'm going to actually move mine up just under the planet. So go over here where this move tool is for position and go in the second area there. And notice how when I slide my mouse back and forth, it moves this. So I'm going to put that title just under there like that. And then I need to make it go to 9 seconds. So I'm going to drag this out till it hits that marker. All right, I want to expand all the tracks that I work on, so I'm going to double click on that. And now I'm ready to put the by Penguin Music. That's the author of this song. So I'm going to get the text tool again and click right there and say by Penguin Music. Select all, and I want this font to be a lot smaller like this, and I'm going to make it filled with white, and let's center it like that. That's already a good vertical position, but if you need to change it, don't forget you can do that right there. I am going to make it just a tad smaller, and then I'll recenter it like that. All right, and I need to make this go to 9 seconds also. So I want the by Penguin Music to come in just a little bit after, just a little bit after the Space Chill Out music does. So I'm going to actually move this over about to there. I still want it to end at the same time. And then I also want the space intro to start at 1 second. So let's move our current time indicator to 1 second. All right, so I have it lined up there. Okay, so that's how I want everything lined up. It'll go like this, and I just need to put some cross dissolves so that everything fades in, doesn't just abruptly come on. So let's go to Effects, and let's throw a cross dissolve on all of these. And let's see what we have. Perfect. So we can go ahead and close the Essential Graphics panel since we're not going to use any more text for a while. And let's check in on our storyboards and see what's next. So we have the planet video going from 1 to 11 seconds. Now we need the floating astronaut from 5 to 19. So let's go ahead and import that. So let's go to the project window, and we'll go in our astronauts bin and getting the floating astronaut. And let's pull these audio tracks down. We don't need a lot of room for audio, and put the floating astronaut in on a new track. And we said that we wanted him to go from 5 to 19. So let's go to 5 with our time indicator and slide the astronaut down here. and we want it to go to 19. I don't think this track is long enough, but we're going to slow it down to make it go to 19, so that is not a problem. So let's go ahead and expand this track open a little bit more, and we want to slow it down. So if you right click on here, you can go to speed and duration. This is something that's on the practice exam too, so it's good to know. Click on that, and we want to change it to be, we want this to last about 14 seconds, somewhere around there, something around 91, and just say OK. And now you see that we've lengthened it out. Another way to do this too that I need to show you that's also on the test, if you get this tool right here, whoops, let's see, where is it? Right here, the rate stretch tool. You can also do the same thing with that. You can make this clip longer or shorter with the rate stretch tool. So there's two ways to change the duration and speed of a clip. Alright, so we need this to go from 5 to about 19. That's about where it is now. One thing I need to do here that I see is I need to change the order of these clips. I actually need this video track 4, whoops, to be the astronaut to be below the text. So let's take this text and pull this up above the astronaut, and let's lower the astronaut down here like that. I'm going to go ahead and leave these up here because I'm going to have some other tracks going above that. So what I want to do with this astronaut, so right now it just is covering up the planets that it's on. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some keying on here. So let's click on the astronaut, go to effects, and let's go to video effects, keying, and we're going to put ultra key on it. So drop that on that track like this, and when we click on that, let's go to effect controls, and we want to do a couple things. We want to get this eyedropper and click on the black. So you can see that it got most of the black out, but there's still this fuzzy black things where it didn't really cut it out that well. So there's a couple things we're going to do. If you go over here to where it says composite and put it on alpha channel, you can really see how there's a lot of gray fuzz. It's not very sharp. So if you go over here where the setting says default and put it on aggressive, it really knocks it out a lot better. And then you can go back and put this on composite, and then it's a much cleaner looking knockout there. So there's a couple other things I want to do. I also want to go to where it says opacity. Notice under opacity there's blending modes. Just like in Photoshop, you can change blending modes like in layers. And I want you to put this on screen. That way it kind of lets you see through it a little bit more. And then the last thing I want to do to this astronaut is I want to move him so that he's more centered in the planet. So let's go up to the position and let's move him up a little bit and move him over a bit so he's more centered over the planet like that. Alright. That looks pretty good. I think I want to move him up just a little bit more because we're going to be having him go inside a cave on the next clip. So I'm going to move it over just a tad more. There we go. That looks good. So the next thing we're going to do is add this cave clip to this area over here. So let me look on our storyboards, and so the cave goes from 11 to 20 seconds. So let's go to our project window and get this cave graphic. And before I dump it in there, I'm actually going to take this astronaut and move it up one, and so I can dump the cave in over here on this track. So we're going to put it here, and it said that we were going to put it in at 11, so let me put my time indicator at 11, and that's kind of where it ended up being right there. And in order for these two to blend, I would like this to be a little bit longer, but I don't have any more image or any more area there to make it longer. So what I'll do is do the speed and duration. I can right click and do that, or I can use the rate stretch tool and click on this clip and just stretch it out to be a little bit bigger, just so that there's enough for me to blend the two. Now I could put these tracks side by side and put a cross dissolve in between them, but I actually just want to use keyframes and use the opacity. So I have my, I want to put this right here at the end of the space intro, not quite off of it, but just before that ends. So around there, and I'm going to put a keyframe for opacity. So I'm going to push the stopwatch. That gives me a keyframe there. And then I want to have another keyframe at the beginning. So I'm going to use my arrow keys to nudge it to the very beginning of that. And I'm going to put a keyframe there. So now I have two keyframes, and then the first keyframe, I want this video opacity to be 0. So what happens is it goes gradually from the planet into the cave, and then it looks like the astronaut's getting sucked out of the cave. That looks pretty cool. Okay, and let's get our storyboards and see. We're going to introduce the walking astronaut. Comes from 19 to 36. So let's put the next astronaut. He's going to come in on this track here. So let's open our astronaut spin, get walking astronaut, and put it over here. Right, so right now we have our astronaut going out the cave. That looks cool, but when we have the other astronaut walking into the scene, it abruptly changes. So we can do what we've been doing by either adding a cross dissolve or going up here and making keyframes. There's another way that I want to show you that you can edit things like opacity. If you press this little wrench button right here and you see show video keyframes, you can see how it gives you a line across the video. That is a great way to really see where your keyframes are and change them. And then you can use the pen tool and you can actually make a line there or a dot there, and then you can pull, whoops, you can take these and pull them down, and that's another way to change the opacity level very easily. So let's see what that looks like. See, that looks pretty cool. I actually prefer doing it this way because that way it's just easier to see where it is and how you want to change, or it's easier to make edits to it. So let's go back and kind of check out what we have so far. So we have that astronaut, and then it's fading, so where he's going out the cave. And then we slowly have this astronaut walking in the scene. All right, now I want to layer one more track in here. I want to take this Mars layer and add it into the scene as well. So let's try putting him down here in this track. Yeah, I'm going to move it actually this way. So it needs to be after the astronaut is fully, the opacity is all the way up on it. Then we can start adding this in. So let's get our pen tool on that. Do the same thing. Let's draw a keyframe there and another one there and pull the opacity down. So I want to change the blending mode of this astronaut. So let's go back over here like we did before and go under opacity, blend mode, and you can try some of these out. I think Scream works pretty good, but you can have a lot of fun trying some really different looking effects. That looks pretty cool too. So I don't mind which one you want to try on your project. I think I'm going to leave mine on screen, but yeah, you can play around with those different blending levels. So let's see how that works now. The next thing I want to do is, after I have him walking through the cave and it fades into this Mars background, it's just one little nitpicky thing. I would like to make this sunspot shine right over his mask. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go to the very beginning of that clip and let's make a keyframe. So go over here to scale and position. So you need to click the stopwatch at the very beginning of Mars clip for that. And then we need to go to the very end and we need to make another keyframe for both of those. And what we'll do is we are going to enlarge this. So put it about 128 and then move this over so that it's directly on his helmet like that. I just think that would give it a pretty cool effect. It's not going to stay on his helmet the whole time because he moves his head a little bit, but it should end up on his helmet at the end. Alright, I think I'm going to put one more keyframe when it's about right there. Keyframe, keyframe. I might regret this. And I'm going to put the position a little bit more over there and up a little bit. Let me see what that does. I may undo that. Let's see. So one of the questions on the test is to move an audio track that without moving its video. So what you do to do that is just right click on the track and say unlink. Now you can see that the video and the audio are separate. So if you wanted to move the video without moving the audio, that's how you can do it. In this case, I'm going to press backspace and delete it. We don't want any of these audio tracks because we're going to put music in there. So let's do the same thing on this one. Let's right click it, unlink, click on the audio track and delete it. And then one more time, right click, unlink, click on it and delete. Alright, so now we have no audio tracks, but we are going to import our song that we're making the music video for. And go ahead and put that on audio 1. And let's rewind this thing and look at it. And wait, let's do one other thing. Let's go ahead and shorten this audio track for now, just so that when we render it, it doesn't render out the whole song. Eventually, we're going to make a music video that fills the entire song, but until we get there, maybe you can make it go just past. And if you want to expand that, you can always take the pen tool and do what we were doing and have it fade off for now. I mean, eventually we're going to have it staying full blast the whole time, but that might give it a kind of cool effect for this shortened part of the project. Alright, let's listen to what we have and see everything and then render it. Alright, that's pretty cool. I saw one thing I didn't like that I want to go back and fix. So it was right here. The astronaut just comes on suddenly. So let's open that track up and let's use the pen tool on there to make it come on more subtle. So I'm going to put a keyframe there and then go at the beginning and pull that down. And let's see how that looks. That's better. Alright, that is all we need to do. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Up to sequence and say render in to out. So that comes from the starting point to the ending point.